a minute while I make sure this is working. Can everyone hear me okay? I get like a 15-second latency. So let me know in the chat. Someone please. Cool. All right. Well, howdy, everybody. Good to see you. For anyone that showed up last week, sorry about the kerfuffle. We did a reschedule and broadcast that in a few places, but apparently missed some of them. And so I think a few people were left waiting. So hopefully not too much of an inconvenience here this week. The theme is assembly, which is coming up in just over a month from now, which is kind of crazy. Seems like the last one was just 10 months ago. So yeah, I'm assembly this year is an Urbit Foundation affair, and it's I have a newfound respect for Marissa at Twan that did this last year. It's a lot of work, but it's actually a lot of fun. Pretty dynamic stuff, and I'm pretty excited about this year's assembly. It's going to be different, but very good. And so I want to kind of give everybody a little preview of what it's going to be like. Shed some high-level details. I don't want to ruin the surprise, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But I want to give everyone kind of a lay of the land and help answer some questions if there are any. I figure after I get through what I have to talk about, if there aren't a ton of questions in the chat, I'll do what we normally do on a developer call and post a Google Meet link. And then for whoever wants to get in and ask questions, face to face, which is sometimes easier. We can just kind of have a conversation about it for a little while. So let me go ahead and get started. I have, in typical fashion, a couple of slides that I've put together that'll just kind of help guide me through the process here. Let me figure out why the background is. This is different. Okay. StreamYard didn't used to have a persistent background there, but they're changing things on me. Okay, well, we'll have some leaves for a background, I guess. Okay, so getting into it. This was kind of the opening slide of assembly last year. That Galen kind of kicked off his talk, and the slide was actually misnamed. It was supposed to be community singular to ecosystem singular, but something kind of got lost there. But I pulled this right out of the deck from last year, and the thinking at Assembly 2022 was that we are moving from being one community to being a proper ecosystem, and that was really largely going to be enabled by the release of software distribution, which made it possible for developers to build applications on Urbit, and that in turn enabled companies to form around the idea of building software on Urbit beyond just the one that had a monopoly on that to date, being Twan. And so this was the next slide that was talked about, which is really, we think we're moving from a community to an ecosystem, and that ended up being totally true. If you've been hanging around the network, you know that Urbit is very much a proper ecosystem now. We recently commemorated this with a a new section on Urbit.org all about the ecosystem. It's not done being filled out yet. There's still known organizations, applications, groups, marketplaces, podcasts, things that are not there yet. But that's the nature of these things. We're going to keep filling this up with everything we know about, and once you see it all in one place and realize how many people are using Urbit to build all kinds of things, I don't know, it gets pretty exciting. It's really kind of cool to see. I know I regularly hear about new applications on a weekly basis. Not quite new companies on a weekly basis, but I expect that there'll come to be a point in time, maybe next year, the following one, where that's actually the case. So it's a great time to be around the Urbit network, and if you weren't on the Urbit network, or paying close attention to our Twitter, you might not actually know that this is happening on this project that is been around for quite a while. So where last year we saw pretty much exclusively the team at Twan across infrastructure and product at Galen talking about broadly speaking what's in store for the future, talking about software distribution and landscape as a product launch, and then about sort of the technical roadmap for the project. That was really the majority of what we had last year. There was a workshop as well, showing people how to build, and then a whole lot of hanging out on the grass and in the lobby track, as Lane calls it, just hanging out and talking. We're going to try and capture that this year as well. There won't really be booths. This isn't your typical conference, but there is going to be a lot more programming this year. And I think the theme, this is a working title, sorry for the gratuitous galaxy references, but I think about this almost like the World's Fair for Urbit, the Galactic Fair. There's, you're going to see representation from every Urbit company out there, both, of course, Twan will have a significant presence, but also Holium and Dalton and Akbar and Terrell, and a bunch of upstarts, people that are just starting to build on Urbit, are entertaining the notion that there's a whole lot of energy across the spectrum coming in the door. And so, this is, I think, my prediction for what the energy will be like is there's just a whole bunch of things to interact with. So getting into some details, a number of people have been asking kind of about the location, where to stay, will there be satellite events, kind of bonfire for the galaxy. It's a good one. People have been asking later, okay, where should I be? What's kind of going to go down? And so here's a little map. Let's see here. The venue is right here on this little block. So Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to spend pretty much the whole day there. I think Saturday we're starting in the afternoon right after lunch. Sorry, Friday we're starting in the afternoon right after lunch. So you have the morning to hang out if you wanted to schedule some breakfasts of some kind with people. Friday would be a really good day to do it. The program will start in the afternoon, and then there will be kind of a welcome cocktail party that will go until the evening. On Saturday and Sunday, the events usually begin at 10 and end at about 5 or 6. That's so that you have enough time to grab a bite beforehand and do something with people before the main event starts. And then afterwards, you can go and get dinner with some friends. And there will be, on Saturday night, there will be satellite events, an after party at, a yet to be decided location, or at least disclosed. So you'll have, opportunity to leave the venue. And this whole, if you're not familiar with the area, this whole area is a big open air mall, and there's all kinds of restaurants up and down this road. It's walking only, so there's no cars through here. So this is a great, you'll be able to leave the venue and come back. So if you need to schedule meetings, you want to go out and get lunch and study the stuff that we provide, there will be food provided. You're welcome to do that. It's a very walkable area. And if you walk away all the way down, you of course hit the beach. Um, a lot of people will be staying at this hotel right here, particularly staff, because it's walkable and very close. There will be some people staying at the Standard. These are kind of the known official hotels that, at least like Tlon and the Urbit Foundation and some of the speakers will be staying at. Um, so, as far as a place to stay anywhere around Miami Beach, kind of in this area, even further south, and that's kind of where most of the stuff is. That's all a good place to be. The whole area is very walkable, pretty enjoyable to be around. The venue itself is kind of cool. It looks, it's not going to look exactly like this, but this is a bit of what the interior looks like. Um, it's actually, if you are noticing some of the markings on the floor here, it's actually a parking garage. There will be no cars there, but it's neat because it's got these, all four walls are completely open. These big pylons that kind of make the space feel pretty unique. It's designed by Herzog and de Meuron, famous architects. And it's got these 34-foot ceilings, so it's kind of like being on like a concrete island in the sky. The venue is called 1111 Lincoln. That's the address. They just call it 1111 Lincoln. It's also known as the Herzog and de Meuron building locally. Apparently, where you see these plants here, there's actually an apartment up there that belongs to the architects Herzog and de Meuron. And sometimes they, stay there during the event. They have multiple residences. Sometimes they're there, and sometimes they come down and take part in the events. And we don't really know ahead of time whether or not they will or won't be there. But it's going to be neat. You've got sweeping views over all of downtown Miami, Miami Beach, the whole area. So I don't know, it's just pretty freaking cool. We also have, I'll say a bit about the team. Last year's assembly was at Distribution Hall. The owner of that space, Austin Nelson, is also working on a project that many of you will probably recognize as Native Planet, which will have a presence here. He's been one of the main people helping organize this event. So we've kept continuity in a way with last year's venue through Austin. And so he's having a really good time designing the space and laying out the floor plan and the furniture and working with vendors. And so it's, as with many Urbit productions, we're able to pretty much keep the team and the staff all within the community, which is a lot of fun because our community really loves Urbit and loves putting on great events. And so it's been a pleasure working with him because he's excited himself to partake in this. So the incentives are all in line. We have other members of the team supporting as well. We've got Christine Sanford, who's works a bit with Tlon and has been around the network for a while. She was at assembly last year, and she's been helping a lot with creative direction, with the selection of speakers, panelists. And of course, we have Thomas on our end and Annika, who many of you may have met in New York City. So it's a fantastic team. It's all coming together really well. So, less interesting slide, but worth knowing, like we're going to have at least 6 different companies that are all doing product demos. Last year we had really a lot of open time and space to just hang out and talk, and we want to preserve that, but it's hard given how many different organizations, different things there are to actually showcase this year. We can't quite keep the same amount of free time, but what we are trying to do is keep things situated such that we, have the mornings of most days, Friday accepted since we don't start till the afternoon, is when we do most of the things on the main stage that kind of command the entire venue. And then we have 2 side stages um, that are, both for, well, I'm going to get exactly what they're for, but we have two side stages that we'll have content on, usually across, workshops on one, panels on the other, and more, talking or talks. That'll enable it to be the case that, there could be programming you go to, and you can also just kind of hang out and talk to people in, the rest of the space. So you'll have the option to, hang out in the lobby track, just mingling and chatting and brainstorming with your fellow Martians. Or you can go and watch some of the content, programming, participate in a workshop, something like that. And there's going to be, a lot of different kinds of things. Last year, the panels were a big success. They were, a lot of fun. Each time was very controversial. We're not, averse to that. We'll have more of that this year, but we're going to have probably, a much wider range of topics because the Urbit ecosystem has grown to encompass, many more themes and people and so we're trying to really cater the content towards the sorts of things that people on the network like and enjoy. We'll have workshops, like I know Akbar is releasing their testnet and their developer tools. There will be a place to go and play with that. Neil is going to be educating about something this year for sure. There will be demo stations, people that have things to show you so that you can go and use them and try them out in person. We're also going to have a store full of all kinds of physical goods from around the network. Because if there's anything we've, kind of learned over the years is that Urbiters do a great job at producing high quality physical goods. And so you're going to see a lot of really exciting things this year. I went over this a little bit already, but to double back to it, so we have the event scheduled right now to be the 22nd through the 25th. Thursday is the 22nd, and we're calling that Community Day. We don't have very much programming for that day. The official, event content at the venue doesn't start till Friday. Thursday, we're going to do a pre-registration at the beach. Yeah, they'll come over around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. We'll have some towels. You can, and some umbrellas, and you can kind of hang out on the beach and, get your wristband early so you don't have to check in at the venue the next day. Otherwise, it'll just be, a good time to hang out at the beach. For the rest of the day, we don't have a whole lot planned. And what we'd like to have happen is for all of you to plan things and hang out, have that be an opportunity to get together with your communities, whether those be formal events that you coordinate at some venue, or you just go to the beach and hang out, or do any of the other things, many things you can do in Austin, in Miami. Hang out with one another and get some good time in. Friday, we will do the welcome party. That starts kind of in the afternoon. We'll have an opening talk. We'll have a panel. There will be an onboarding session going on that'll be a little different than it has been in the past because onboarding is becoming a lot different than it has been traditionally. And then we'll go pretty late till about midnight at the venue with a cocktail party. There obviously won't be any talks then, and it'll be a good time. Saturday and Sunday will be pretty similar. We'll start the morning off with kind of the major product demos. We'll have some talks. I know we expect to see Galen up on stage, Trent at Holium up on stage, the guys at Akbar, the core devs, talking about what's going on with the kernel. Bology's talk will be Sunday morning. And then throughout the afternoon, we'll have less going on the main stage and more going on the side stages with more open space to go and hang out. And that's when most of the workshops will be happening. There will be room for lightning talks, things like that. As far as things that we expect to, be talked about this year, some of these are captured by some of the panels we're doing. One big theme is the effect of technology on society, media, communication at large. We're doing a panel called "Medium is the Message," named after the famous phrase from Marshall McLuhan, that is increasingly relevant as the pace of technology picks up, the variety of communication, and the general public's awareness of how mediums of communication are affecting our society, often at a very rapid pace. And we've got a pretty fantastic lineup of people for this. It's the panel isn't full yet, but I can tell you a few names to start. This is what Alex Lee Moyer is going to be speaking on. We're going to have her up on stage with Anna Kachin, who many of you are probably aware of. And another one who, just confirmed yesterday and the public will be getting the announcement of soon, a guy by the name of Walter Kern, who turns out is actually a big closet Urbit fan. So we'll be excited to welcome them on stage. Sam Frank will be moderating. And we're looking for one more too. So we expect that one to be really fun. I'm going to leave the others to, as a surprise for the event. Another big theme, and these last two bullets are kind of related, is the displacement, replacement, augmentation of institutions. Our legacy institutions are in many ways fading in relevancy, and people are either happy about that or bummed, but it seems to be a fact. They're getting replaced with new ones, and in many cases they're being very changed and augmented by the effect of technology. In many cases, just eliminated entirely because the need for an institution in certain cases is completely eliminated. Related to this theme is the network state. The people are obviously talking a lot about this, especially in the Urbit community. Which, if you were at Reassembly a few weeks ago in Wyoming, I gave a talk in which something I have noticed is that the Urbit community, the people that are on this call and are very active on the network, they resemble what Balaji would call a network union, already rapidly approaching a network archipelago. This is a concept that we've all been acting out prior to the existence of the book by this name for years now. So this is an imminent thing, and it's obvious and totally unsurprising that our community is very keen on this concept. We'll of course be talking a lot about Urbit. As I mentioned, there are new products you're going to see that you may be aware of vaguely, but the level of granularity you're going to see here is going to be remarkable. I've been continually impressed at the pace that these companies are moving at, and I can barely even keep up. You're going to hear talks about what's going on with Urbit in the future. There's a big thing that's happening this year, which is that this whole idea of Urbit onboarding being bad is going to become a thing of the past. It's actually about to become extremely easy and trivial. Next year, we're not even going to talk about it anymore because getting on Urbit is just going to be as easy to do as really anything. I think better than the general state of Web3 onboarding. And so, what happens in a world in which getting on Urbit is no longer difficult is, well, we're going to find out. I don't know exactly what it's going to be like, but it's definitely going to be different. You're going to see new infrastructure. There's a whole schedule of new infrastructure releases that are slated to go out by Assembly and in the months following it, and they're going to make a pretty big impact on the usability of the network. That's going to proceed into early next year, and I'm pretty excited about having the core devs all up on stage on a panel. Hopefully with Joe Bryan chain smoking the whole time, just shooting the shit about what the heck is going on with infrastructure. It's gonna be a great time. So I'll kind of close this out with how you can help For one, you can show up. Definitely show up. You're not going to want to miss this. You can Urbit your friends, which I don't have to tell any of you to do. This is something that we're all quite good at, or at least enthusiastic about. You can help facilitate a gathering, whether that's on Thursday, that's on Friday morning, sometime in the afternoon, outside of venue, Saturday evening, Sunday, even Monday. I'm staying all day Monday. I'll be there the entire week preceding assembly, because if there's anything I know about coordinating events is that all the shit hits the fan at the end and you really want all hands on deck. So I plan to be there to, I don't even know yet, but do a bunch of stuff. So hang out. I know there are some things that are going on Wednesday night, as early as that, even before the event formally kicks off. But feel free to get there. There are going to be Urbit people in town much earlier than the event. And if you were at Urbit New York City, then you know that when we all get together, we can have a pretty good time. We have a group. We had two groups, but we had some technical issues with our other star, Lapdag. And so BitDig is one that is now running the new Assembly 2022 group. Join that group, hang out. There's a couple of channels in there just for coordinating things in general, one of which is kind of organized towards finding a place to stay. If you don't yet have somewhere to stay, then ask in there, because we have this wonderful benefit of being a high trust community. And like grouping up with your friends is a good idea. Yeah, help one another. This community is very helpful. If you get in there and start asking around and talking to people, you'll get pointers. Just to highlight that. For any of you Cardano people, there's a meetup on Thursday. Say there's things happening. I didn't even know about this. That's all I've got for slides and for things to kind of formally go through. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. So I'll wait a couple of moments here to collect questions and answer them in this forum, and then once we move through that, we can go over to Google Meet link. And if you have questions about things other than assembly, I'm happy to answer those too, about anything foundation related, Urbit related, and preferably keep it within those subjects if you could. Yeah, there's a lot going on beyond assembly, but it's definitely something of an attention black hole lately, because we're really getting down to the wire. So I'm gonna give it a moment. If anyone has a question, please ask it. And if not, I'm going to paste a Meet link in here shortly. I'm going to remove my calendar there. Okay, cool. Well, I'm not seeing too many questions. So, will there be a prize for best costume? Oh shit, that's a great question. We haven't thought about it yet, but we're pretty good at thinking on our feet. That's it's within the realm of possibility. I'm sure we could crowdsource such a thing. If anyone would like to offer such a prize or run such a contest, you should totally do it. We'll definitely help you get the word out. Yeah, so that's a great idea. Galaxy. Yeah, be my guest. It won't be one of ours. What was I going to say? We're going to have some fun swag. Something I didn't mention here is the Urbit Foundation has been working on sort of visually differentiating itself, doing a bit of an update to the look and feel of Urbit. We've been working with a group called Other Means out of New York to help us with this. And they're very much have kind of a typographic focus, which we're into because Urbit is a very typographic heavy heavy project. So we've developed a new font for Urbit. It's actually called Urbit Sans. Um, it's fairly simple. Looks very good in monospace. They've built out a single width rune for every available rune that collapses into the single width, assuming you build this into your text editor, but it'll be possible to represent runes with these special characters. Um, we'll be seeing the debut of this font and the larger visual language that's emerging around it at assembly. And that'll then kind of take over the rest of the Urbit brand throughout the rest of the year. But one of the kind of clever things that they've done is make the typeface. They built it in kind of a modular format that lends itself well to augmentation. So you can take that skeleton and turn it into a script or into a black letter or into any number of different font families that I only know the names of because I've been working with typography designers lately. Apparently there's a lot of them. I'm surprised. And so what we expect to do each year for assembly is take our base font and do an augmentation of it for that year's assembly. So we will be seeing a different visual theme this year on the swag, and the swag game is on point this year. I'm pretty excited about it. We have some fun surprises in store that could be elements of this best costume. But where was I going with that? Damn it. Anyway, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. You should be too, and it'll continue being fun into the future. Cool. All right, I'm not seeing too many other questions, so let's it's Friday. Let's have a nice little morning, afternoon, evening, happy hour hangout type thing. Join me on that link, and we can keep the conversation going there. All right. Thanks, everyone. Hope this was informative. Talk soon.